Hi, I'm Stan Goldstein with Kates-Boylston Publications. As part of our video spotlight series, I'm glad to be joined today by Tyler Anderson, the Vice President of Business Development for Precoa. Hello, Tyler. Welcome.
Hi, Stan. It's great to be with you.
All right. So let's just start off. Tell me about Precoa.
Well, Stan, Precoa started almost 20 years ago, was founded by Mark Hornibrook and Brett Davis, and we partner with leading funeral homes across the country in markets both big and small, and we really are focused on helping them grow their pre-need program. Really kind of a unique focus in providing these exemplary consumer experiences and ultimately with an outcome of growing their at-need market share. We do this through we implement what's called the proactive model and really focus on execution on that model. It often enables funeral homes to 2x their pre-need performance, but most importantly, it really helps them to address these two universal challenges that funeral homes across the country tell us that they have, which is this decreasing revenue per call and an increasing cost of doing business. And when we partner with the funeral home, we're certainly trying to address those two challenges through implementation of the proactive model, but we're also trying to solve some of the day-to-day headaches of running a pre-need program.
All right, you just mentioned headaches. Talk about those headaches that funeral homes face every day. What are some of them?
Well, if you ask a funeral home owner, there's many, but a few of those relative to a pre-need program, often it kind of centers around stagnant results, kind of seeing the same outcomes year over year. And when you really peel the layers back, that's often due to a lack of innovation within the lead gen strategies that they deploy on an annual basis. And so kind of expecting a different outcome or a different result, but not actually changing any of the tactics. And so really seeking to put innovation into your lead gen strategy, whether that's online or offline. There's a number of ways to do that, of course, but that often results in a lack of quality leads. And so a custom omni-channel lead gen strategy really helps to provide a consistent flow of quality leads, which often obviously leads to better outcomes for an advanced funeral planner for the pre-need program as a whole. But really, we hear more and more about hiring challenges and finding the right people to fill those advanced funeral planner roles. I'm sure you've heard that yourself, kind of across the profession. And so it's difficult to find somebody who has kind of the prerequisite skill set or experience to fill the role. And so what we really have focused on is recruiting as a marketing effort, and really marketing and selling the positive impact that a career in funeral service can have. And that's enabled us to find people that have the heart for the position, which is really critical. And with that, then through our custom personality and cognitive testing process, which is benchmarked against some of our most successful advanced funeral planners, we can, with high likelihood, assess what their probability of being successful in the role will be, which has been a great benefit for finding the right people and really attracting top talent into the profession. The other last headache we kind of commonly hear is inconsistent results, which all the things I mentioned earlier as far as kind of a stagnant approach to lead gen or trying the same things over and over again. It really creates an overdependence on individual performance, as opposed to looking at what is the model that we're running coupled with a high performing individual. When you put those two things together, that really creates results that are unmatched.
How about consistency is important for funeral homes, but what does that consistency mean specifically for their advanced funeral planners?
Well, I think we're all looking for some consistency and stability in our lives, but for advanced funeral planners specifically, if you talk to some of the most successful advanced funeral planners across the country, more times than not, they're going to tell you that the best part of their job, their favorite part of their job, is meeting with families and the time that they get in front of the family. Most will spend 70% of their time, approximately, prospecting in an appointment setting, and only 30% of their time actually in front of a family face-to-face meeting with them. In our model, through the proactive model, but specifically the funeral planning center, which is our proprietary appointment setting capability, it kind of turns that ratio on its head, where an advanced funeral planner will spend 70% of their time in front of a family and only 30% of their time prospecting or appointment setting locally. And so the fulfillment in their job is significantly greater, the impact in the community is greater, and the outcomes for the funeral home and themselves are dramatically better.
Let's talk about proactive pre-need. How does that benefit a funeral home today?
Well, considering I've grew up in this stand and been doing it for 20 years, I think I could take about 3 hours to walk that one out. But with the time we have, there's significant benefits to it. I think if you having as many conversations as possible before a loss with families within your community has a really dramatically positive impact for a funeral home. If you look at those two challenges I mentioned, as far as a decreasing revenue per call, increasing cost of doing business, one of the ways we know how to address those or combat those are to increase your call volume and to provide really exemplary consumer experiences before a loss has ever occurred, which shifts the perception on the value of ceremony, ritual, and gathering. And as a profession, we've done an incredible job of adapting our at-need arrangement experience, our at-need services to be more customizable, more personalized, and more relevant to families, which is great because it's more meaningful and it's more connective. What we've somewhat overlooked, I'm fearful of, is that that's really relevant to the willing purchaser, and we have fewer and fewer willing purchasers. And so what we believe Preneed can really do is create more willing purchasers by informing and educating to the value of ceremony, ritual, and gathering in advance, instead of waiting until the day we've lost a loved one.
Right.
And that's where we really see the benefit of proactive Preneed.
Right. And this is a big question, but I'm sure you have a few ideas. What are the top things that funeral homes need to do to improve their program?
Well, it's actually not a long answer, Stan. I think they should reach out to Precoa and request their free market share analysis. In addition to that, I think whatever steps they take that they feel are best for them and for their market, they need to get active. And they need to, it's not just about securing and growing the market share for your funeral home. It is about having conversations with families about why a funeral matters. More and more families are trying to understand what does a funeral mean to those left behind? And if we're not out having those conversations in advance, they're seeking that information somewhere else. And so whatever that looks like for your funeral home or your community, becoming more active and having a dedicated advanced funeral planner and having a system and a proactive approach is critical.
Now, you just mentioned reaching out to Precoa. How can people reach you and find out more about Precoa?
Well, one way that's very easy, you can go to our website, www.precoa.com. You can request a free market share analysis there, and we'll quickly follow up with you to get that to you.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier about, I was looking at your website, that you grew up in a family of funeral homes. Give us a little background. I see your grandfather started the first funeral home, his first funeral home in 1944. So just tell us about a little bit of the family history and what's going on. And some still own funeral homes today, right?
Sure. Well, I grew up in a suburb of Dayton, Ohio, where my grandfather started funeral homes in Cincinnati in 1944. My father purchased his first funeral home in 1980. I grew up in the parking lot in the house in the parking lot of the funeral home. And then actually in 1985, my father started a company called the Outlook Group, which is a pre-need marketing organization, which I later, I went to work for out of college and later purchased from him. And then we merged with Precoa. And so I always joke, my sister, my dad, my father, my aunt, my cousin, my grandfather, all funeral directors. So for better or worse, this is all we know. But it definitely created a deep-rooted passion for me for the profession and what it provides families and what is ultimately, a really, really difficult time.
Okay. And I'll just ask you this. I understand you're a big Cincinnati Bengal fan. And I was just reading an article yesterday saying your quarterback Joe Burrow may be the highest paid player in football. So you've had some success lately. So give me a little background on how long you've been a Bengals fan, and do you want Joe Burrow to make that money?
So yeah, we want to keep Joe happy. My grandfather actually got season tickets for the Bengals in 1968, which was their first season.
Wow.
When Paul Brown came down from Cleveland and started the Bengals expansion team. So I have been a long-suffering Bengals fan up until the last 2 seasons, and so we won five playoff games since 1953 and 5 in the last 2 years. So I'm riding high at the moment, and I'm happy that the Bengals are considering to pay Joe. I just want him to keep everybody else too. So we'll have to figure that out.
Are you a season ticket holder still? Do you go to the games?
Unfortunately, I am not. I still try to get to a couple games a year, but it's a little bit more difficult because I do live in Portland, Oregon.
Right.
But I managed to get to 2 away games last year, so I'm still figuring out. And my daughter is in 7th grade, and she is probably one of the only 7th grade Cincinnati Bengal fans in Portland, Oregon. So.
Right. That's right. Precoa is based in Portland, Oregon. So, how many years have you been in Portland?
4 years now.
All right. You like it out there?
I do. We love the outdoors. Growing up in the Midwest, we didn't have access to a coast or a mountain or a river gorge. So we love those things. I'm not going to lie, the rain and the gray drags on a little bit. So we're looking forward to some sunshine hopefully soon.
All right. All right, Tyler. And before we wrap up, just give us your contact information one more time. The website.
Sure. www.precoa.com is where you can go to access or request your free market share analysis. Also, my email address is tanderson@precoa.com. Feel free to reach out directly if you have any questions. Love to connect with anyone.
All right. Anything else before we could wrap it up that I didn't cover?
No, Stan, we just appreciate the opportunity to be here, to be with you, and go Bengals.
All right. Thank you very much, Tyler. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.